Alright, here we go. Pulling into the shop. What do we got here?
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Good morning. Hope everybody's good. This video, I'll be giving my first impressions of the Go Fast Campers version 2 platform camper. I think maybe only one person's ever asked me for this video, so y'all can thank him. But as a brand new GFC owner, I feel kind of compelled to give you guys my first impressions and review of this camper. My very experienced review. So if nobody's interested, great. If at least one person's interested, great. Hope you enjoy. Hope you get something out of it. Hope you learn something. Maybe you might even feel inspired. No, probably not. No. Alright. So I'm gonna start from the top and work my way down. I guess if you're wanting the cliff notes of this video, first impressions, good impression. There's just a few things I'm going to mention that could be, that I think should have been included or changed with the camper. So I've spent a total of 2 nights in the GFC as of this video. One night here, another night beach camping, and so my impressions and opinions of this camper are pretty fresh. I'm still trying to work out like a good system, how I work everything and how to use it all. Well, first off, I'm going to start by explaining my perspective in history and camping and what lens I'm viewing the GFC through. So I probably started camping 4 or 5 years ago. I got to Guam and started camping there. All of that camping is, at least for me, was hammock camping on the beach. It's sunny, it's always, you know, a good temperature. Most of the time I didn't even have a rain fly. That was like I mean, if it starts raining on you, you can either, you know, it's not even a cold rain. You can most of the time just pretend like it's not raining. Leaving Guam, went immediately onto the Pacific Crest Trail, switched from hammock camping to tent camping. Carrying our tent around, it's not going to be very luxurious. Most through hiking tents, really small, cramped. I hiked with a Thermarest Uberlight mattress. Low R value, you know, only 2 inches, inch and a half thick. This camper, exponentially better. Really hard to compare. I mean, if you're going from ground camping to something like this, game changer. Not even fair competition. If you're going from another rooftop tent to this, your lens that you view this through will be different. I'm coming from ground camping, so take that for what it's worth. Yeah, so I went from through hiking, you know, tent camping to I had a 2020 Tacoma that I had a fiberglass shell for. So with the old Tacoma and the fiberglass topper, I would sleep on the deck with about a 4-inch inflatable mattress, hybrid foam and inflatable, and that was a good system. Other than all I had was that much room. It was a cab height fiberglass shell, and so once you crawled in there, it was nice, but it was kind of like a coffin rack for anybody that's slept in one of those. This camper, coming from that, 100 times better, in my opinion. And so that vehicle was unfortunately totaled, and then after that I went back to ground camping and hammock camping. So typically I'd roll up to a campsite. I'd either have to find a flat piece of ground or a tree or a buddy's vehicle to string the hammock up to and all that, and you know, that's a bit more of a hassle than just rolling up to a mostly level campsite, popping 2 latches and climbing up there. So starting with the beef bars and working my way down, they seem pretty stout. The construction of them is pretty stout. One thing that really irritated me, and I don't know why GFC would do this. I hope there's a good reason, but to me it kind of seems like a bit of a money grab. The T-track that's on the beef bars is a different diameter than the T-track that runs the perimeter of the tent. And that's not really a big deal until you realize that they make their own T-nuts for this track, and it's $20 for a pack of 4. And so if you don't know that the T-track is different from the beef rack to the perimeter T-track of the camper, and you buy a bunch of beef rack nuts thinking that you'll be able to mount stuff on the edge of the camper, you're going to waste a lot of money and have a bunch of T-track nuts that you don't need to use, or that you can't use. So I don't know why GFC decided to make 2 different nut sizes for the T-track, but that's definitely been my biggest frustration with the camper as I've gotten it and started trying to mount things on it. So the only thing that I've put on the beef rack so far is is surfboards, but they're solid, aluminum construction. Just bolt right into the T-track on the side of the camper, so they can slide up and down to whatever position you want. You can put as many of them up there as you want. It seems like a pretty solid system. So the roof of the GFC is comprised of a composite honeycomb material that contributes to the camper being so light. They use this material for the roof as well as the transformer floor bottom, and which is what the mattress sits on. So one of the things that I knew I was going to do to the camper before it even arrived was install carpeting on the ceiling for two reasons. One, for condensation, and two, for the amount of light that is able to come through the honeycomb material. So the honeycomb material is a very slick, hard surface, and when condensation builds up on it, according to every single other GFC owner that I've heard talk about it, the water just flows right on down onto your feet, onto your sleeping bag. And there's a couple different ways to go about combating this. I've heard people doing what I did and installing carpet, or just having a towel in the camper with you, and then when you wake up, wiping down the ceiling. And then some people even, if you're so compelled to, cutting a hole in the top of the ceiling and installing like a RV style fan to push the moisture out of the roof. GFC installed side ventilation panels to combat condensation, but from what I hear, it doesn't do the job very well, which I can understand because the panels are located at the lowest point of the tent instead of the highest point of the tent where the hot air rises to. So I knew for those two reasons right off the bat I was going to be installing carpeting. What I did is I just went to Lowe's, got some 18 by 18 self-adhesive panels, stuck them up there. Now, unfortunately, that's not the route I would go. If you're going to install carpeting up there, I would go have Lowe's or whatever department store you're going to cut a full section of carpeting for your ceiling. The self-adhesive on the back of these panels, not the best thing. They've been, peeling around the edges and falling down, and having to go in with mounting tape and fix that. So far, the 2 nights that I spent in there, I've had no condensation issues, which, granted, only 2 different locations, and kind of the same weather. It was cold, in the 20s, high 20s first night, and 40s the second night. Just with myself, and the ventilation flaps open, not much of a condensation issue. I could reach up and feel that the carpeting was moist, but nothing was running down onto my sleeping bag. All of my sleeping equipment was dry. Mattress was dry, everything was dry. So in addition to the carpeting being installed, as of right now, I've only got 2 other things installed. 2 small puck lights for mounting. I think they're 15 lumens each. They're like $12 for a 5-pack, I think. I got them at Lowe's as well. And a Steely mount. Just a magnetic car mount that I stick the iPad up there to watch movies, shows, whatever I want at night. On the ceiling there is T-track to mount different hooks. I'm probably gonna end up stringing some kind of net across the top just so that I can stuff jackets and whatnot on the ceiling while I'm sleeping at night, maybe rain jackets or something. So there's definitely room for modification up there in the tent. Moving down, so the tent fabric is not a cheap, light, like tent fabric that you would see on like a ground tent. It is a very thick and durable feeling fabric. I wasn't quite expecting that. Not for any reason in particular, just it surprised me how hardy the fabric felt on the tent. You can tell it's definitely got like a decent layer of some kind of weatherproofing, and the seams have like a very durable amount of like glue and seal on the seams. Overall, the tent construction of like the fabric itself and the zippers and how that's all put together is better than what I expected it to be. And something that I think is new for the version 2 that I'm not sure they did in previous models of the version 2 or the version 1 is added gear pockets to all 3 of the doors. These pockets come with a shock cord retention system, so you could zip them up if you needed to. So far I found it very useful to just put my phone, general things that I keep in my pockets in while I sleep, as well as like clip in my flashlight to the side of, so I have easy access to my flashlight if I need it throughout the night. Now, one thing that I really wish GFC had included with the tent that you see with a lot of other rooftop tents is tent poles. Right now, the way that it comes, they give you a carabiner and there's little fabric loops on the outside of each of the flaps, and you have to roll up. Say if you want to open the window or the door, you got to roll it up all the way to the top. It's either open or it's closed, and it's either zipped or it's open, and then you clip it with the carabiner to retain it. I really wish they had included some sort of tent pole that holds the door out away from the opening like an awning, at least for the big center door, just so that you can have it open, still have airflow, and there's a little bit of at least shade from the sun while still having your window open. There are some places that make tent poles for the GFC, but they're going to cost you about $80, $70 to $80 for a set. So I'm in the process of just DIYing some tent poles. Hopefully those will be done soon, but my opinion, I wish GFC had included at least one set of tent poles for the main window here. Alright, so moving down to the mattress. At the time that I ordered this camper, it was about October of 2023 with a delivery date in November, and the delivery date got pushed back to January due to the installation of their new mattress system. So I can't really speak to what the old GFC mattress was like. A lot of people though said that it was too stiff, and you had to add either a regular camp mattress or say like a mattress topper in order to have a comfortable sleep. I've had 2 pretty comfortable sleeps so far. I don't know if that's just me coming from the ground camping space with a 2-inch thermarest with a low R value, but I've slept pretty good 2 nights. However, I probably will still add some mattress foam just because I've already got it, and why not be just a little bit more comfortable? I do like a pretty soft mattress. But the new GFC mattress, I think, for at least for me, it's doable. Sheets was one of those things that I purchased before I even got the camper, because I knew with the amount of sand that I always end up getting in my vehicle, and having a dog that's probably going to spend quite a few nights up here, I'm going to want some sheets to just rip off and throw in the wash instead of having to take the mattress apart. So I ordered from Overland Soft Goods, which I believe at the time I ordered the camper was the only company making GFC sheets. Now at the time of this video, GFC does make their own sheets. I'm not sure what fabric they use. I did look in the overview and I don't believe it had it listed, but it does seem like it's a regular like sheet that you would have on your just have on your bed. And they're going for about $84. Now the Overland Soft Goods sheets do go for considerably more amount. I think they are about $130, but they are flannel. So threw them in the wash, gave them a couple turns in the dryer, and they came out really soft. Worth it? It's up to you, but worth it to me because I'm a big fan of flannel, and those things are really soft. Next would be the Transformer floor. So, Transformer floor is kind of one of the things that GFC like really harps on for their selling point on this camper, is your ability to rearrange the floor in different configurations using 2 square panels and 1 larger rectangular panel that can be slid from the front to the back. Allows you to enter the camper via the truck bed. So some situations where that would be useful, maybe if it's storming and you don't want to, maybe it's raining, you know, high wind, you don't want to open the side of the tent, you can pop the tailgate, the back door, go in through the bed, pop up one of the panels, and enter the tent that way. I'm planning on camping a lot with my girlfriend and our 2 dogs. So getting out of the tent in the middle of the night, if my girlfriend and I and our dog are sleeping up there and then our larger dog is sleeping down here, it'll be quite a hassle when one of them needs to go to the bathroom. They gotta slide their sleeping gear to the floor or to the back of the sleeping area, pop up one of the floor panels, come down, step on the dog, slide out this way to go to the bathroom, and then come back up the exact same way. So that's why I ordered the ladder. Just come out, yeah, I mean, just much easier process. I did buy their ladder mounting hardware. So far, I think it's great. Literally just plug and play, hooks the ladder right in, ladder drops, good to go. It just lifts right off. If you need to move it for a moment, ladder just lifts right up off the brackets and you're good to go. So something that GFC did that really allows you to customize the camper is included 5 different tracks for T-nuts or T-bolts to go through to mount things on. So all the way around, except for the very front where it hinges, but on these 3 sides there's T-track to mount things on. So I think that's really cool. They definitely could have put less, and I'm glad they didn't. I think it optimizes your mounting options. So at the time of this video, the only thing that I have mounted on the sides are the mounts for the ladder and a Rome Adventure Co. awning on the other side of the truck that I eventually intend on mounting back here. However, the GFC awning mounts do not clear the lip on the opening of the tent. So I'm gonna have to modify the brackets to fit back here. One could say, why didn't you just go with a 270 awning? And for me, it was a price thing. I feel like I only need the cooking area to be covered. So I went with a shorter, smaller awning, but the mounting brackets not clearing the lip when this is closed has created an issue that I'm going to have to find a solution to. One other thing that I do have mounted on the side and all the way at the front is JE Design gutters. So according to other YouTubers, other reviews of the GFC, one thing that people have an issue with is all of the water that lands on the roof flowing forward and then onto their rear passenger doors and windows, creating a lot of watermarks, or if the window's down, you get water inside of your vehicle, and that's never fun. So I did purchase JE Design and Fabrication GFC gutters. And so far, I haven't had any water falling on any of the windows. So as far as I know, those gutters are working perfectly fine. So next would be the camper shell itself. The doors and the frame of the actual shell. Super lightweight. GFC makes a lot of claims about their camper being one of the lightest campers on the market. The frame, the outside paneling is all constructed out of really lightweight but strong aluminum. GFC boasts that the dynamic roof load when using the GFC beef bars is 500 pounds, while the entire weight of the camper, depending on the truck bed size, is about 275 pounds. None of it ever feels flimsy at any point. There's no connections in here that I've found, no mounting points, anything that has seemed flimsy or seems like it won't hold up. Everything seems super sturdy and very well put together. I will say the only thing that seems slightly flimsy are the door panels themselves, but the way that they are mounted, it seems very secure. The only reason that these feel flimsy is that they are so light. As far as the construction and the seal that you get on the door when they're locked is solid. All corners, except for of course the back window where you would load things, have these very sturdy cross beams. And what I've seen a lot of people do that I'm looking into doing myself is getting cycling bags that fit, that would mount on like a bicycle frame, to fit in these corners to add storage space up here. One thing I did add, which I'm not sure will be enough, is these little 15 lumen 1-inch light pucks from Lowe's. I think Lux Pro is the brand. I might still add some LED strips throughout the camper to give a little bit more looms on the campsite. Something else that I added or ordered before the tent arrived that I knew I was going to want were these latch covers. Go Fast does not ship campers with latch covers already installed. It is just the locks open and exposed. I've heard plenty of people give reviews where they complained about dirt and grime and ice getting inside of the lock mechanism and making it very difficult to open. So the lock covers come from BZ Shop Designs on Etsy. I believe he just 3D prints them. However, it's a very durable plastic that he uses. By no means do these feel cheap. And they snap into place and are pretty solid. I haven't had any of them come open while I've been driving. I did install them facing downwards, so I didn't have an issue with that. Whether or not that actually helps, I'm not sure, but that's what I did. GFC has also started making their own latch covers, but like I said, they do not come with the camper. You have to order them separately. And I believe both of those places, BZ Shop Designs on Etsy and GFC, are both going for $15. Something else to note about the frame is upon installation they do add a very solid weather stripping in between the edge of your bed and the camper. Now, of course, you do still have all of the cracks and openings that are associated with having a tailgate. So you still have that bringing dust and particulates into your camper. However, as far as water getting in through the sides, I don't think is going to be an issue based off of the weather stripping that I see here, as well as around all of the edges. All of the seams of the camper all have weather stripping, so water intrusion doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue whatsoever. So something else that I added to the camper before I even got the camper was a rear view camera, a rear view mirror camera, which is what you see mounted here. It's the camera for it. While I do have a window on the back panel of the GFC, I do not have a window on the Ford wall. I did have a window on the fiberglass camper on my old truck, so I could use the mirror. However, it was a very narrow field of view, and as far as peripheral vision through the mirror, you didn't have any. And I knew that was going to be the case with the GFC. So I started looking it up. How much would a camera be to replace the mirror? And I found one by Wolfbox for about $150 on Amazon. From the recording that it's taking, it crops that image and displays it on what would be the mirror. Every once in a while it does change like what section of that recording is being shown. So basically what that means for me is every once in a while I'll have to come back here and adjust the tilt of the camera, but other than that, the camera works great. It's always recording a front and a rear, and as far as field of view, it's much wider than what a regular rear view mirror would be. Say on like a full-size truck, I can usually see the bumper, the front bumper of the vehicle approaching my peripheral, when I can see the rear bumper leaving on the edge of the video feed. So field of view is quite wide for this camera. So previous to the camper being installed, I had a up-top overland Bravo roof rack that was installed on my previous Tacoma and has been installed on this Tacoma the entire time I've owned it. I keep Max Tracks up there, a Pelican case with recovery gear and solar panel. You cannot, technically you're not supposed to show up to the GFC installation with a roof rack already on the cab of your vehicle. I showed up with it up there, and Apex Overland near Greensboro, North Carolina, did not have any issue with it, but I had to cut the roof rack to fit the GFC. I reached out to GFC, asked them what the dimensions of the overhanging portion of the tent would be, and they promptly replied back. I made those measurements on the roof rack, and with a grinder and cutting wheel removed a section of the roof rack, and so far it has been a pretty perfect fit. I have plenty of clearance between the bottom of the camper, the tent portion of the camper, and the top of the roof rack, and I still get to keep my Max Tracks, my Pelican case, and my scene lighting on the roof of the Tacoma. I think that's about it as far as modifications and first impressions. Overall, the Go Fast Camper V2 is a solid product. I am super stoked as someone who's come from the ground camping, hammock camping, and fiberglass shell camping world. This is a huge upgrade. And I can tell you that if you're coming from those worlds as well and you're thinking about getting a GFC, do it. I love that I can still store things, camera equipment, you know, all the overlanding stuff that I might have to put in here. I can put it all in here, lock it up. All of these latches lock. It's secure, it's dry, as well as sleeping. One of my buddies on this last beach camping trip slept down here while I slept up there. So I think it definitely provides you with more options than, say, a regular rooftop tent with a regular rooftop tent mounted on a bed rack. So all of these campers are made to order, and depending on when you get that order in, there can be a significant lead time. However, in my opinion, I think this camper is well worth the wait. GFC is killing it, and I'm totally stoked to spend as many nights as I can in the foreseeable future in this thing. So, thank you. I hope that you got at least something, if not entertainment, with me struggling to make this video. So yeah, that's my first impressions of the GFC V2. See ya. That's hot. All right.